So right now. Ms. O'Bannon, hello? Be sure we can hear her. She's still on mute, it looks like. Yeah, there you go. She's waving. I mean, she's there. Okay, good morning. Welcome.
Morning.
Just introducing ourselves. You might want to say a word so that we can hear your melodious voice this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I had a meeting earlier and I've got one right after this and it was like zigzag.
Hello? I see hand movement. We're looking for voice.
I've got it.
Do you have sound?
Yeah.
Hello? We're still
I don't
trying to
know
hear
what-
Ms. O'Bannon.
Hello, I don't know what the problem is. I'm right here.
I think we heard you.
Are you okay? Am I okay now?
I thought I heard something. Let's hear it again.
I can hear you.
Hello?
I'm right here.
Maybe Sam, can you try to speak and see if we can hear you?
I can hear.
It looks like
Turned
there's
it up.
additional
I've got it up full
access.
blast.
Yeah,
and I'm
she's
right
unmuted
here.
now, so she should be okay.
Everything's connected properly.
Everything's fine? Okay, there she
Camera,
is.
ceiling
On the
lights.
end. Okay, Ms. O'Bannon, would you like to say a word?
Word.
She said word. I can hear it just faintly. I barely
Said
heard it.
word, okay.
She said
Volume.
word.
Volume.
It sounded like a volume, yeah.
Yeah.
And
This
it-
was good before.
Okay, good. Any
I have
language
it up
will
full
work.
blast. I don't know how to make it higher.
Any word will work too.
No, I was an earlier meeting and have one right after this and they were both across town, so,
Let's, as soon as we get that,
alrighty.
Miss, we want to make sure we can hear her, so because she'll need to vote as well, or if we need to vote. Now I think she's muted again, if I see correctly.
I unmuted it. Which way do you want it?
See, it's coming from my line.
Up, see, now I'm echoing.
Hello?
It's time to get rid of all these Zoom meetings.
Everything's connected
Okay.
to the system. I tested the sound out.
I heard them momentarily. But anyway, I
I
think the
can
voice
talk.
will be coming in pretty soon.
Okay. I can unmute when I need to
She'll be
talk.
coming in. She's speaking, but we can't hear her. Can't hear her.
I will unmute when I need to talk.
Okay.
Can't hear it?
Yes, we got you. Hello. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right.
I'm
So-
here.
So everyone's here. Thank you. And of course, we expect another to join maybe shortly from Richmond, Ms. Allison. Now, any other comments?
Yeah, if we
Martha,
could-
you want to go into new office space update, or are you ready
Yes,
for the
that
comments?
would be great. And
Let's move into that.
okay, and I'd like to
Gentlemen,
do
ladies.
introductions. First and foremost, I'll introduce Katie Chalmers. She's online with us. She has another meeting across town and wasn't able to be here in person, but she's with us virtually. Katie, can you do an introduction, and then we'll have Sam do an introduction, and then we'll put the org chart up that we've been working on.
You're
No,
mute.
I'm not muted.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for having me. Yes, hopefully you can hear me. I'm happy to
Yes.
join. I'm a project manager with Tallheimer, working closely with Martha and everyone else that will be slowly and soonly joining the rest of the team as we plow forward and look forward to building out the new space for PlanRVA.
Thanks, Katie. Sam, could you also do an introduction of yourself?
Yes. Hey, everyone. I'm Sam Thompson. I'm an interior designer with Baskerville. I had the lucky chance to meet a few of you at our immersion session, but I've been working with Martha and Katie and Gilbreth and everybody for planning out the new space. We're excited too.
Great, thank you all. So Katie worked on this for me over the weekend to put this organizational chart together, just to kind of see how the arrangement or the relationships kind of start to flow. So as you all can imagine, and this doesn't include the committee, that should be sitting probably up above my name, but this is the kind of the points of contact as our vendors get on board. So obviously, I and Gilbreth and Mark Bittner are kind of three of the key point people on our staff right now who have been working on this effort. And I think, as Katie mentioned, that will be expanding over time as we need to pull in additional staff members to work through this process. Katie serves as the project manager. She's with Tallheimer and really was the handoff person after Brian Berkey got us through the lease negotiation process. Katie now moves into the project management role and is overseeing the coordination of all the various vendors that will be brought on board to help us move this project forward. You all know we went through a process quite a while ago now to identify Baskerville as our architect. And so Sam is here today. She was with you all in August when we went through the sightline study. And she's going to be handling item number 2A for us. But we wanted to just kind of give you that layout so that as you start to hear these names and that kind of thing, you can get to know the team as it develops. And as we bring new partners on board, this org chart will get updated and it'll become part of the packet of materials and updates that get provided to the committee. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, very good.
So Sam, we're going to turn it over to you. If you could let us know, those in the room have handouts of printed handouts of what was distributed to the committee members with the different layouts, and then we'll put the one that you want to walk through on the screen. So you just tell us which one to use.
And we have Sam on the screen too, so we can see her while we're having the
Yes.
discussion.
I can
Yeah,
share
so-
my screen if that would be helpful.
Do you want the monitors to show the layouts or?
Can we do
her
both? Can we
face?
show her and the layouts?
She can be up in that top box and
Yeah,
then the
that's what I
picture.
mean.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Sam, if you'll share your screen, that would be great.
And
Yep.
excuse me, is there one other virtual?
All right,
Just
sharing.
Whitney Brown. Do we need to?
Can you guys see my screen?
Oh yeah, I apologize. Whitney, I'm so sorry. I overlooked you in the list. Do you want to do an introduction of yourself? I know you're probably standing in for Mr. Addison right now.
Oh, yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Whitney Brown. I'm the new First District City Council Liaison with Andreas Addison, and happy to be here. I worked in housing enrichment. I'm familiar with Ms. Martha. I helped out with the housing GVA study with Housing Development Advisors, so
Awesome. Thanks for
Right.
being here today.
no problem.
Okay, Sam, we'll hand it over to you.
All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this, I believe, is the handout that you guys have in front of you. I have a clean version if you want to look at that, but I will walk you through the markup first. So coming into the space, you have the elevators and these stair entries that users might come through. This is your main front door. We walk in to an ante area and then kind of like a break area. There's a few conference areas as well, and that will guide you into the larger boardroom where most of the public would be coming. So there's kind of a separation here from back of house offices and then public facing. So I think anybody can use these conference rooms, whether a board member might want to use them or people from PlanRVA might be using them, but they're open for grabs. And then this is your high functioning room. Again, island, break room. We'll have kind of mobile seating throughout, lounge seating and tables and chairs for whatever function you might have in there. Moving to the back office area. So you come in, there's a few private offices towards the core of the building. We find that allows a lot of natural light to come in where those workstations are along the window line. So again, offices here, and offices down here. The workstations are kind of lining the windows, and then we have a few more informal meeting areas. So you can go have a phone call, or you could have a one-on-one meeting or a four-person meeting, kind of more flexible areas here. We have a copy print storage area here that we're kind of determining what function it will serve at the moment. And then this back corridor would be your plotters, copiers, where you might put together prints, as well as extra storage here. We have a data room. Everyone needs a data room. A very fun part of the project. And then here we're showing a kind of a markup of tables and chairs. We thought that the 6x6s kind of for the intern function could maybe wait until a little bit later. And you guys might have a few tables and chairs that we can use existing in their place for now. We have a wellness room and then another small meeting area. So if you look at the cleaner version, it shows what those red boxes are. It shows 4 future 6x6 workstations. So we'll plan for power and everything there for those functions, but for now, we're not gonna aim to purchase as far as I know. And yeah, so that is kind of the summary. There's a few informal huddle areas I'd call for teaming. So picture, standing table or somewhere you can lay out a big print right here and right here. Okay. Are there any questions?
Any questions, anyone?
Yes, Sam, the interior offices, are those glass walls so they get light from the exterior?
Yes. So we have asked Katie to price out glass all along the front of the offices. And
So
we will be able to do a comparison.
So it's
wherever
full
the
wall of
blue is-
glass?
Yes. We're looking into it budget-wise, into some options.
Such as?
So there's an option
Basically,
for-
different levels of glass. So how much glass and how much the cost may go up.
So there's no,
Sorry, Sam, if I interrupted you.
Interior offices without glass to get some daylight in there is probably not acceptable. Next question, where is the break room in here for staff?
This is the break room. So it's a shared break room kind of in the ante area.
Yeah, near the aisle.
Okay, so it's, the lobby is also the break room.
Yep.
Okay, now I'm looking at, did y'all, Sam, did y'all put together a program for this space? Because I'm looking at, for instance, the gallery. You've got 2 foot 4 inch spacing between rows of chairs. That's impossible. I think you realize you have to have at least 3
yeah.
feet to be able to. So obviously the number of chairs I see here is not going to be possible in our meeting. Is this the minimum number we're supposed to have, or is this excess?
I believe it is. I believe it is meeting the program, so I would say minimum, but we have revised it to space it out, and we can do a few different layouts that get us 3 feet from this point to this point. So it is. I think right now it's about 4 feet in between chair fronts. So that's probably 2 foot 6 in between each chair. But if we need to get to 3, that's fine. We can work on a layout that does that.
3 foot, 3 foot, center to center will work, but 2 foot 4, as you've shown, obviously does not. And so I'm looking at the other dimensions that you had on there. They seem to be working okay.
Yeah, it might mean respacing these might mean getting rid of this little countertop or moving it somewhere else. So we can definitely send up a revised version with all dimensions shown.
Okay, all the cubes or the open space areas, how are we getting power and data to those spaces? Is that coming down overhead through the floor, or?
Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're planning for off the wall in as many spots as we can, and then floor drilled where necessary for those.
Yeah, if we have to. But we luckily are all along the exterior wall, so we'll be able to provide power that way or on a column. I think the only area we'll really have to do floor power is by the interns.
Okay, that's why I was asking. So you are looking at columns for these, coming down from the seat, providing from overhead for the ones that are freestanding.
Yes, on the ones that are column, yes, but they wouldn't be just from the ceiling. It would be concealed.
If it's column, I don't know how you conceal it. If it's got, you've got to get it down from overhead. I'm looking at.
That's a good
for
question. We may have to fur them out, or it would be like a wire mold tight to the column.
No, I'm talking about, are you talking about a power column that drops power and data cables and all from the ceiling down to the stations, or is that coming up through the floor from down below?
I think
I
we're
believe
trying to
it'll be coming
avoid
up.
power poles.
Yeah.
Do you understand what we're talking about, Mark?
Yeah, my understanding, ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, is that where we have workspaces, whether they're office or the open space, we're gonna use for wiring and cabling the wall perimeter as much as possible. And then the build out, obviously in the center for the offices. But I think Mr. Peterson's question is really focused on this,
The ones that are
the
not on the
area
outside
that's
wall?
floating
Are
in the
we-
middle, right? What's the strategy that we'll be calling for in the MEP designs? Is it coming from the ceiling, or is it gonna be something that comes up through the floor?
For these 4 over here, I would account for a floor box.
All right, we've got another 2 up at the top end of your drawing. We've got, and then we got the boardroom. How are we gonna provide services to the, because we're talking about various arrangements in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
How are we accommodating that, the ability to have all these different arrangements?
So I
Yeah,
can,
Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we accounted for a few floor boxes within this space specifically.
Yes.
This layout, I think the power would be able to come, and I'm sorry if I was confused. I thought you were talking about this column. We're, like Katie said, we're avoiding power columns, but it could come off of this wall and through, to these workstations for that instance.
the preliminary conversations that we've had with the relocation of this equipment. So as you all know, part of the investment that we made earlier this year was contingent upon it being mobile. And so as you can see right now, like in this room, we have the covered box that's attached. We've talked with the vendor about relocating all of that so that pretty much this configuration can be mimicked. However, as you can imagine, if we were to want to try to reconfigure this room to be like a classroom style, having that box in the middle is not appropriate.
That's what I'm saying, we're getting a brand new
So-
space, we don't want this.
That's right. So we want to have those regular floor boxes to be able to connect in. The idea would be that most of that would just be necessary for power. We're expecting that people who would need to connect to the internet would be able to do so through Wi-Fi. But the power boxes at various locations around the room are going to be pretty critical to that flexible space.
I have a question.
Yeah, Pat.
Okay, where's the dishwasher?
We don't have it shown yet.
Well, it's being.
We don't have it shown yet,
Okay, but it's gonna be in the
but
break
there will
room?
be. Yes.
Okay,
As well as the ice maker, both items, we've provided the serial numbers to the design team so that they can make sure that the existing equipment that's here in the kitchen, the dishwasher and the ice maker can be relocated to the new space.
Yeah.
The plan would be to purchase a new refrigerator, given the age of the 2 that are here, but otherwise we would want to use those existing appliances.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So you realize how much time you're gonna have to spend keeping that kitchen clean, with it being
Yes.
right there in the main lobby.
Yes.
Right in the open, yeah.
Wide open.
Mhm.
Other questions? Comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just note that it appears to me that more of the sort of openness and open flex space has been, it seems like it's been substituted for more office or hot desk spaces and, just observing that and just want to make sure that that is, I guess that's purposeful and we think that that is going to result in the highest and best productivity for everybody long term. by having those more of those hot desks and less to sort of the open space from the last layout I saw.
Yeah, from the last layout that you saw, when we were doing the tours and everything, I think probably, and to orient you, if you're looking at the page where Baskerville's logo is to the top right, that, top is the whole street. So I'll just, that line there, I think, Mr. Winslow, the design that all of you would have seen previously had, those workstations reconfigured to be more facing the window and the street outside. The feedback that we got from staff is that they felt like most people would feel pretty uncomfortable with their back to a corridor. And so we've adjusted, the actual workstations, if you will, did not change in size. They just were literally repositioned to be able to give that, I think, more significant kind of protection to someone's back. And then the same along the right-hand side on the side street, the workspaces did not change in size. We did reconfigure the rotation of them so that, again, we were kind of minimizing that, that feeling that someone was either walking regularly back behind you or someone could come up behind you without really noticing that they were there.
Okay.
So they're not reduced in available workspace to kind of mimic that hot desk option. The hot desking, I think, would be more akin to what we see in that space that's now showing as working tables, but that could be later installed as kind of the interim working cubes. And we were just thinking about that from a phasing perspective. If we found that from a budgetary perspective, it made sense to wait a year to install that furniture configuration, that could help us on budget. But that would really be, I think, the location that you'd see that concept known as hot desking. Yeah.
So I assume you're talking about hoteling. Is it the same thing as hot desking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the idea was we wanted to have space that would be like that hoteling or hot desking for two purposes. One, to be able to accommodate interns that would regularly have, an infrequent schedule in the office because of the hours that they work, and or oftentimes we experience here in this office when we have meetings, oftentimes attendees at our meetings want to have a place to be able to work for an hour or take a phone call or that kind of thing. So we wanted to be able to provide that. And so that's kind of what we've intended to be that flexible space. Staff would be assigned to one of the 13 closed, enclosed wall offices, or one of the 15 open space workstations.
Let me ask you a question. I'm coming from memory, but I thought we were trying to go to an open plan, and now we got 13 private offices. Was that an intentional change to go away from the idea of the open office? The closed offices were always a part of the original space fit. Had some, but I didn't think we had 13 of them. I thought we just had some key staff members.
That is what we did, and we intentionally included in the original program from back in August, and it's more than we expect to fill right now because of the unknown growth with the CVTA. So the idea is that some of those closed enclosed spaces would be CVTA executive director and potentially support staff as that organization grows. So yes, the ratio, if you will, of the enclosed offices to open floor plan has not changed since the original.
Couldn't remember. Okay.
The one thing I think that has changed is Office 13 there at the top. That used to be, I'll say, like a clean line up from the entrance, and we did bump the size of that one out in response to some of the feedback that we got, and that is what we're contemplating is the location of my office, to be able to accommodate that additional room for people to be in the office with me for meetings, et cetera.
And you included CVTA, you mentioned CVTA.
Yes, so we've accounted for the executive director position, and then would have additional seating workspaces to accommodate based on the org chart or the phased org chart that the CVTA is accommodated. So I think, over that phase, the 3-phase process, I think that there could have been maybe as many as 4 to 5 staff members for CVTA. So we included that in our projections of growth over the time.
Of these 13, how many of these are going to be occupied on day one when we move in by PlanRVA?
At this point in
Yes,
time,
CBTA.
we're still in discussions with our senior staff, but I would say 6 of them for sure. And then the question will be whether or not it's better for us to use some of the enclosed offices as alternatives to meeting room, or whether we would go ahead and assign them to staff. And largely that depends on what the hybrid work schedule is gonna be. There are 5 of our staff right now, including myself, who are here pretty much 5 days a week. With some variation depending on what's happening with our schedules, but the majority of staff members have at this point in time indicated that they'd like to take us up on the opportunity to telework as much as 3 days a week. And so the schedule that they're keeping will largely determine location of their seat assignment.
So what percentage of the staff is gonna be looking at only coming in 2 days a week?
2/3.
Do we need all this space then? But if we're only gonna have people here 2 days a week,
They're gonna
or
be
they're all gonna be
here,
here on the same day?
yeah, they're gonna be, we're encouraged, because we have meetings regularly on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. And so from a staff support perspective, we really need the majority of staff to be here when those meetings are happening. And we also really want to encourage staff to be here when their colleagues are, so that they're taking advantage of that opportunity to collaborate, communicate with each other face to face, and work together. So I don't envision a situation, and I would say that the staff in general are not excited about the idea of Monday I sit at this desk and Tuesday somebody else sits at this desk. I don't think that from a preparation standpoint, our team is quite ready to go into that kind of a model of literally a shared desk situation.
I can't get into the weeds of the staffing, but I think only coming in 2 days a week, and when you're talking about a creative workforce, it's not a good model myself, but I'm from old school. I think you need to have to be around other people and be able to bounce things off of each other, but that's, y'all decided this is what you want to do. I'm not gonna argue that. I just want to, if the space meets the needs, has the staff been through this, is this what they're looking for, and what you're comfortable that this is gonna work?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it has consistently drawn on the input that we've gotten over the last year or so with the work that we've done in the August retreats, the evaluation of what we expect. Certainly, with the people that we have on staff right now, it appears that this is going to be, suitable. And then as we evolve over time, I can imagine that we'll still continue to be reassessing the work schedule and those things to make sure that it's supporting productivity and communication and coordination.
Well, I mean, this is the reason we're spending all this extra
That's
money
right.
to go downtown, is so people can enjoy being there.
That's right.
Not staying at home after we spend all this
Okay.
money to go downtown. So, okay.
All right, other questions or comments on the layout, design, review? Any comments?
I think you should listen to Canova.
Okay,
Canova, aren't you an architect?
Yes, ma'am.
He's a profession, see, he's an architect, and I trust Canova's view on this, so.
okay.
That's
We'll let
all.
him speak.
I mean, I've been speaking on that. I was not involved with the staff in coming up with the program that they worked out. If this meets the program, then I'm not gonna argue with that. I'm talking about something different when I'm talking about the operational schemes that we use, but I think people are gonna wanna be there.
It certainly is my hope, which is why we're not contemplating that idea of
Yeah.
I sit here one day and the next person sits there the next day, because we want to make sure that our staff have a space to work when everybody's in the office.
Yeah, that'd be ideal, dedicate space, ideally. Yeah, I agree. All right, thanks, Pat. Any other comments? If none, we want to look at item B, authorization to select.
Before we move on, I do
anything
want
else?
to just get confirmation. Katie, if you can relay kind of where this sits relative to the project timeline, it is important that we have the committee review the space plan design. And in order to move forward with the development of the schematic drawings, we need to have approval of this design. And so that's one of the things that this committee is meeting here today to do. So In other words, if there are feedback or suggestions or things that we need to consider as part of the drawings, now is the time to make sure that those are incorporated, because once we move into the schematic designs, it gets harder and harder to make changes. So I think, Mr. Chair, if the committee is ready, the requested action would be to motion to approve
Design.
the layout design
The layout
to
design.
move it forward to schematic design.
Okay. Any additional comments or questions before we have a motion to approve?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Just to reiterate your, the CVTA, you've got a space here, an office for a director. And then you have an office, you're planning for 4 staff members, right?
Yes, I would not say that we intentionally set aside 4 of the enclosed offices for those persons, but a combination of the enclosed and the open floor planning.
Okay. And then with PlanRVA, executive director,
That's right.
and how many staff?
Our-
6?
Currently, our Director of Transportation, so Mr. Parsons, is programmed to sit in an enclosed office. Our Director of Regional Planning and GIS, Mr. Bittner, is programmed to sit in an enclosed office. The CVTA Executive Director, so that's 4 so far.
Right.
And then we're in conversation currently with our leadership team, so that includes an additional 6 persons, Mrs. Jaycox, Mr. Ariel, Ms. Fusco, Mr. Bushing, Ms. Lanier Jackson, Ms. Stewart, and then the Director of Finance position, which is currently held by our contract employee, that is, contemplated to be a full-time position, so the Director of Finance.
How many PlanRVA?
8.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, no problem. Any other comments or questions? If not, we have a motion to approve as presented, design review, and any other suggestions along with that motion.
Okay, when will we coming back with the next phase to review again?
For the schematics, I know we're gonna go over the time schedule at the end of the agenda, but let me pull it up really quickly. Katie, can you just help me verify on the timeline, for the project timeline? The next juncture where there would be an approval of the schematic drawings is in May, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right about that?
April.
It would be April, mid-April.
All right. I'll move to accept what we have presented here at this time based on Martha's assurance that this meets the operational criteria for PlanRVA.
All right, it's been moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and properly second. Any additional comments or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. We got a vote from online too, I imagine. Pat, that's unanimous. Is that unanimous, Ms. O'Bannon?
Yeah, I said aye.
Yeah, thank you. I apologize.
Sign language.
Okay, I just want to make sure. All right, thank you. That motion carries. That motion's approved.
Thank you.
All right, next item B.
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Authorization.
we do have a need to go into closed session to
Okay.
review the proposals for the mechanical engineering and plumbing. So at this
Okay.
time, I'm going to read the citation from the
We gotta go
Virginia
off.
Code. If there is such a motion, then what we would do is take a very, very brief recess to be able to reset so that the members that are virtual who need to participate can sign on the closed Zoom link. So there would be a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A, where public bodies hold closed meetings for the following purposes. Item 8, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. Nothing in the subdivision shall be construed to permit the closure of a meeting merely because an attorney representing the public body is in attendance or is consulted on a matter. And 29, discussion of the award of public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offerers, and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. If there's a motion, we could hear that now.
Yep, I have a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and. Second. Properly